You're listening to School Counseling Simplified, a podcast with easy-to-implement strategies for busy school counselors. Here's your host, Rachel Davis from Bright Futures Counseling.
Let's play a little game of Would You Rather, School Counselor Edition. Okay, would you rather spend your weekend planning a group or spend your afternoon sitting in irrelevant PD? Yikes. Or would you rather be the only counselor with no one to collaborate with, or to spend hours searching online for engaging activities? All of these options are pretty bad, right? But unfortunately, they're all too real. But what if I told you I had a solution for you? What if I told you I had access to hundreds of school counseling lessons, groups, and activities, counselor-specific trainings on the topics you need most, and a community of like-minded school counselors to support you? You would say, yes, please. Well, that is what Impact is all about. Impact is my monthly membership for school counselors, and it helps you with all of these things. You get access to hundreds of resources. That's unlimited free downloads. Log in and get what you need right away to every single resource that's in my store. We add new resources each and every month. We're adding a new middle school and elementary resource each month, and some of these are bonus Impact exclusives, meaning that you can get resources just for members. You can request resources that you need and easily search so you can find exactly what you're looking for. And let's talk about the trainings, counselor-specific trainings on the topics you need most. We do these each and every month as part of our Coffee with the Counselor series. Impact members get to join for absolutely free. You earn PD certificates and you get exclusive access to members-only things like the Ultimate Small Group Experience and our Summer Summit Conference. And the community. Y'all, this is possibly my favorite part of Impact. I so look forward to jumping on these calls, to getting to know counselors who are similar to me and also completely different. It's so fun to hear from your experiences and your challenges, and everyone brings a unique perspective to the table. We have an exclusive online community, and we even have a cool app where you can chat with other counselors in these community circles. We have our monthly calls, like I mentioned, twice a month, and we share wins, troubleshoot tough cases, and just talk about what it's like to be a counselor, because so often we're on our own island at our school sites. So if any of that sounds like it's for you, I would love to see you inside Impact. Go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact to solve all of your counselor problems. And I have a special offer for my listeners. Use code POD at checkout to save 10% off your first month. Okay, let's go to today's episode. You're listening to another episode of School Counseling Simplified. So today I want to talk to you guys about boom cards. And you might be thinking, boom cards? Are those even still relevant? That's exactly what I want to talk to you about today. I first started using boom cards in 2020 as we were launched into virtual learning as a result of the pandemic. But I soon became obsessed. They were a great way to keep students hands-on, engaged in learning, even in a virtual setting. Flash forward to today, 5 years later, and the question is, are boom cards still relevant? This is what counselors want to know. And the answer? Absolutely. I continue to see counselors use boom cards in various ways to enhance their counseling program. Yes, even in person. It doesn't have to be virtual. So I'm going to give you guys some examples of how you can use these boom cards. So if you're not familiar with boom cards, they're basically just a digital resource like a digital flashcard, but they're interactive, so the students can read the boom card and then they click yes or no, and then based on their response it tells them self-grading, like did they get it right or not, and then it moves on to the next card. So it's a really cool way to introduce a concept or to review a skill. So let's break it down by the tiers. I like to use them in class lessons. Now, tier 1 lessons are a great place to start incorporating boom cards into your curriculum. So if you're doing in-person class lessons, which I think most of you guys probably are, you can always use them as a standalone lesson. Like in a Meet the Counselor game, you can have like a Meet the Counselor Jeopardy set up in a boom card, or you can use them to supplement a class lesson that you're already using. So for example, if you want to do like a bullying prevention lesson, you can always have some bullying prevention boom cards to play at the end of the lesson as a fun way to review the concept of like, is this an example of bullying or just mean behavior, or is this person in the situation a bystander or an upstander, things like that. And if you're doing a virtual class lessons, then you can always post the boom cards to your Google Classroom or screen share them while teaching the class, just like you would if teaching the digital lesson in person. So I've done that before, where if you're teaching virtually, you would just screen share your boom card and then have the students, have a discussion, and they're going to try to guess the correct answer. And you always want to use these as like a jumping off point. I feel like the boom cards themselves, like a few are comprehensive enough to do as a standalone lesson, like I mentioned with Meet the Counselor, but many of them are like a conversation starter. If you are on that card, why did you pick that answer? Let's talk about that. Have you ever felt that way? It's a great place to start the conversation, but highly engaging. Now for tier 2, you can use small groups, and your BIM cards are a great engagement tool to use in your small groups. Now, if you're doing in-person small groups, you can divide your group into 2 teams and give them a tablet to play the BIM cards on, and the first team to finish wins. So that's a fun way to review or introduce a concept that you're going to cover. So if you're about to talk about, empathy in your group, then you could have them play an empathy BIM card first, just to kind of get like a baseline understanding going. They're also a great discussion activity. Like I was saying, you could use coping strategies BIM cards as a group to discuss how students would respond in different scenarios. So a lot of the BIM cards that I make aren't always like a yes or no correct answer thing. It's like I want to see students' opinions and how they may differ among different students. So for example, in like a coping strategies one, I would give a different scenario, like you feel nervous about eating with your class at lunch, and then they have to select different coping strategies. So that's going to look different for everyone because different people have different preferred coping skills. So that's a cool way to start a conversation, like, oh, I see that you put that you'd like to write in a journal to feel better. Do you have a journal? So it's a great way to get those conversations going. Same thing with like a support system. You can have them select, when they feel angry, who would they want to talk to. That's going to look different for everybody. Some people might want to talk to their friend. Some people might want to talk to their parent. Some people might want to talk to their counselor, hopefully. And so that's a good way to kind of have these discussions in a small group setting. Now, if you're doing it virtually, you can do it kind of as homework. You could always send home your BIM cards. They have this thing called a fast play link. You could just send the students the link and be like, play this at home, and then we're going to discuss together in group, kind of like a flipped classroom concept. And that's also a way that you can inform caregivers of concepts that you're covering in the session. So that's a great way to kind of, bring the family in, even if meeting virtually, so they can kind of, do it with their child or to see what their child is up to in counseling. And for our tier 3, we have our individual sessions, and I think these are probably the easiest place to use BIM cards in counseling because the customization of the one-on-one session gives you a lot of flexibility on how you can integrate BIM cards into the curriculum. So depending on the student's area of need, if you're meeting in person, you'll select a BIM card that corresponds with the topic you're working on together. So if you're seeing them for social skills or anxiety or empathy, you can select that corresponding BIM card. You can just sit side by side with the student and have them kind of play right beside you while they're verbalizing why they're selecting each answer. And like I said, it's a great way to initiate those meaningful conversations. So if they're doing a social skills card, perhaps it says, when I'm upset, it's okay to push others, true or false. And if they push true, you can talk about that. Why do you think it's okay to push? Or if they push false, you can say, okay, you're saying that you don't think it's okay to push, but why have you been getting in trouble for pushing? It's a great way to have those conversations. Or empathy, an example would be a card saying, Joaquin worked really hard on his project, but then he forgot it at home. How do you think he feels? Happy, silly, proud, or disappointed? And then you can discuss why they chose the answer that they did. Now for virtual, it's honestly not much different than in person. You could just have them share the screen with you as they play, and then you provide feedback and talk. Or you could send them the activity in advance and then review together on the call. So there's a lot of different options here, but BIM cards are not just for virtual learning, guys. You can totally use them to enhance your in-person sessions. And they're just a great way to enhance your existing counseling lessons because they're highly engaging and so simple to use. Kids love them and they require zero prep, which is a dream, right? So if you haven't checked out BIM cards yet, I totally encourage you to do so. I'll link to some of my favorite BIM cards in the show notes if you just want to get an idea of what they look like. They're also really easy to make on your own. If you're feeling crafty and you want to make some of your own BIM cards, then you can really personalize them to fit your individual student needs as well. Okay, guys, thanks so much for listening to today's episode, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening to School Counseling Simplified. You can find the links from today's episode in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with Rachel, she's on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers at Bright Futures Counseling. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes of School Counseling Simplified. Talk to you next week.